little boy who never stood a chance after the authorities missed countless opportunities to save Arthur Labinjo Hughes. Just 2 months before his death, social services concluded there were no safeguarding concerns.
Joining us now is the director of the Association of Child Protection Professionals, Wendy Thorogood. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
There are a lot of lessons to be learnt here, Wendy. But I suppose if I start with the bigger question, can we ever really stop this happening again? Is that at all possible?
I think we have to believe that we can make a difference, but we do have to remember that sort of up to 70 children, perhaps more, die each year, and where we're learning lessons. And this is something that's gone on for many years, and it's something that we do need and are continually addressing.
Wendy, I want to ask you, because there were opportunities to save Arthur, and it would not be true to say that his cries went unheeded, because his grandparents raised concerns, his uncle raised concerns, and social services did visit. What is the procedure if I'm a grandparent and I'm concerned during lockdown something's happening to my grandson and I call social services? What was the procedure for a social worker to visit? Were they allowed in the house? Were they allowed to talk to the little boy on his own? What do you do when a parent is absolutely determined to stop you seeing what's actually happening?
As professionals, they should be trained to be able to identify where there's manipulation. Just one thing I want to pick up on this bruising, because clearly it was shared with social services, the photo was shared with police, and I'm not criticising her actions at all, but I would have liked, if she actually had that child in front of her, to actually seek medical intervention as well, because at that moment in time, you can take the photo, you can use that for evidence, but health are part of the system as well. And that could have triggered a multi-agency assessment quicker.
When you say she, are you talking about the social worker?
The grandmother. If that photo, if she's taking the photo, and I don't want to, because she will be struggling and suffering enough, but my plea for anyone out there that's concerned about a child where there's visible bruises, seek medical intervention, and that will trigger an assessment. And if you're concerned...
Okay, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but she thought she was doing the right... She went to social services. Are you saying that social services couldn't intervene, and therefore it was down to the grandmother to seek further help?
Does just going to social services not trigger a multi-agency intervention? You have to go to a doctor. I don't understand.
It would trigger an intervention. You can put it into the multi-agency sharing hub. It will be looked at. It triggered the actual point of a social worker going out, but it's the matter of delay and the severity of when that was seen. And I wouldn't disparage anyone doing a referral, but what I'm saying is, if you have a child that you're concerned is actually being harmed, medical professionals can support you as well to speed up the process and to actually see that moment in time of those injuries.
So trying to understand what you're saying for a moment, are you trying to say you should go to a medical professional first because they have more resources to see it more quickly, whereas you go to social services, there's a slower response time? Is that the difference between those two access points?
I think under COVID, I would have, if under normal circumstances, that would have come into the multi-agency hub and you would have had health look at that referral as well. And I'm not clear of how, obviously, Birmingham multi-agency hub was working, but any child where you see an unusual injury, there should be medical intervention, and the police can support you on that. If I was training GPs, I would say if they had a child that they were concerned about, I would want a proper medical. And that is an unusual injury that a child wouldn't really necessarily get through playing. But anyhow, we need to actually look at it in more depth.
I don't understand why the grandmother why you're suggesting the grandmother should have done more when the social services, whose job, professional responsibility it is to protect a child, they went to visit. And they said they had no safeguarding concerns.
Yeah, because of how the situation was set up when the social worker came. And we know that families that are abusing children will set the scene in a way that you don't always obviously see what's going on.
But
It's really
the
complex.
responsibility then, but isn't the responsibility, Wendy, then with the social worker to say there is bruising and immediately inform the
And
health
that's what
authorities?
it says. In the policy, that's what it says. Unusual bruising, we would like a medical intervention. And that was the gap here. But what I'm saying is, and as I say, I want to really stress that I am not saying the grandmother could have done any more, but I'm just saying for future, if anyone sees any unusual bruising, seek medical intervention, as well as sharing that with social care, because that would trigger the process.
So that, well...
I'm sorry, I'm just stunned because I would have thought once you phone social services, they're the ones who trigger the process. They're the ones with the responsibility. They're the ones with the legal powers. They're the ones who are supposed to be part of a multi-agency approach. And if you're told as the grandmother, actually it's down to you, it's down to the family to call the doctors.
I'm saying that at that moment in time, that child could have been seen medically, that she's got the actual injury on the child, anybody that sees an injury on a child, as well as jointly phoning social services. My words are being sort of slightly twisted. I'm just saying that that would have prevented a delay.
So I think I'll try and pick up. What you're saying is you're not talking rights or wrongs here. You're saying as a practical answer to the question, if you were worried that this were to happen again, regardless of, I mean, even though it sounds like a load of whatever that you should have to do it this way, let's forget that. Let's talk practicals. If you want to get it done quickly, seek medical intervention as well as social services. You're right, it shouldn't work that way. But if that's what it does,
approach.
and that's what we're doing to tell the nation what they should do, then that's the message. Call both. Don't leave it to chance.
Because, that's it. Do it in partnership. Definitely phone social care, but equally seek medical help, because that assessment would have triggered not only the physical look at the bruises, but he was being starved and tortured, and he would have had a safe place to actually talk as well. And again, it has to be done in partnership. And of course, the right way is to go through social care, but it's not always the quickest way. And we are merging as a partnership where we equally have equal partnership response. And I equally can't understand when the police received the photo that there wasn't that joint conversation in that social care, when they're going around and doing the visit, should have looked closer. And I'm aware that he probably wasn't spoken to on his own, and it was a staged situation that the social worker saw. And we have to continually improve the training and recognition of signs of abuse for all social workers, particularly when they're under pressure. I mean, Boris Johnson has said he's going to leave no stone unturned in relation to what happened. We need to look at, I mean, we heard from Yvette earlier about how child services are very stretched and the effort that's been putting into early help. But we equally need to support the professionals continually, training, development, supervision, to make sure that they are reminded of these risks. Because we don't know what that person's day was like and what she was witnessing. She might have come from an equally horrific case, and Wendy, that might have seemed less important, but it's not, I know.
Wendy Thorogood, Director of the Association of Child Protection Professionals, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Solihull's local child safeguarding partnership is now carrying out an independent review into the terrible tragedy of Arthur's death, including contact with social services. The Independent Office of Police Conduct is set to publish a report into West Midland Police contact with the case in due course, but has found no indication any individual behaved in a manner that justified disciplinary proceedings. Just to remember, we were in a national lockdown and everybody was told stay at home to protect the NHS. Calling a doctor it was hard for anybody, but the idea, I mean, that grandmother was doing what she thought she was supposed to be doing.
And what any of us would have done in the same position.